Hello everyone, my name is Zach, and today I'm going to be going over a very special topic that you already saw on the title. It's April 11th, 2024, and I have something to go over. So recently I went on spring break a couple weeks ago by now, and I was supposed to be making videos back then just to vlog because I got a brand new camera. So something happened when I went up to Coeur d'Alene for spring break, and we're gonna get right into it. So spring break in my school is Sunday the 24th all the way to Saturday the 30th. That is my spring break in my school, and it's a very common one for many schools, but all the colleges in the area besides mine actually already had their spring break. But once I went up to Coeur d'Alene, about the 22nd or 23rd, is when I went to my parents' house to do spring break with them. Everything started pretty normal. I just had some homework to do the day before that was due on Sunday, and so the next day on Monday I decided that I wanted to go to the Kroc Center. Now if you don't know this, the Kroc Center's kind of a community center gym that has an indoor competition lap pool, a basketball court, a 3-story rock climbing wall, gym of course. What I did not account for was that the college in my parents' city was currently out on spring break that week too, and so was the school district there. So the Kroc Center was actually packed. When I went to the lap pool, and I'm kind of high, I can swim really well. I've been swimming for years, but once I got there, all the lanes were full, and once the lanes are actually full, you actually have to swim in circles in the lanes, which I can't actually do because I can't do the thing where you reach a wall and then you flip over and then continue to swim, because I don't have the stamina or cardio endurance to be able to do that. So once I saw those were full, then I decided to try the gym, but then all the machines were also full upstairs, like the treadmill, the ellipticals and bikes and all that, and so was the track. So since the Kroc Center was full, I had decided that I was going to go spend a couple hours at the Post Falls beach because the water is actually down in the river due to the winter, so you could actually walk up to the dam. I went there. I was watching an episode of the H3 podcast that was airing that day. I believe it was The Bachelor. Once I was done, I decided to exit, but here's what happened. I decided to approach the exit, and this is a 1-lane exit because there's two sides. There's an entrance lane and an exit lane at this park, and then there's a booth in the middle that usually people during the summer will check for parks passes or stuff like that, so then they could see if you're allowed to park there or if you have to pay for the parking. There was a car already there, pulled up the stop sign at the exit lane, and what I thought was going to happen, since they were already stopped up there, was that they were going to exit and turn onto the road that's outside of the park. And I'm going to show you this video real quick. And boom, he slams into me. This was super unexpected because when I got up there, he already had his brake lights on, and I thought he was just going to turn into the road. But instead, I saw his reverse lights come on when I was already stopped behind him, and then he decided to pretty much gas it straight into me. So the first thing he says to me when he gets out of the car is, "Hey, I didn't see you." The first thing going through my mind is, okay, let's just not look at any of the mirrors or even look back. Let's just shift into reverse and go for it. This guy has 2 other passengers in his car, mind you, his best friend and his mom. They were just leaving because they just went fishing before this. And get the whole reasoning behind this entire accident. He said that he wanted to reverse just to be able to go to the porta potty that his mom needed to use, which was back behind us. Now the whole reason for this accident is because his mom wanted to use the porta potty and he wanted to reverse to it right behind the exit. Now get this, while we're waiting for the police to arrive, his mom goes and uses the porta potty. She basically says there's no point in waiting for the police to arrive, I still gotta go. We exchange information, and then I say, hey, I'm gonna call the police. So then the police arrive maybe 15-20 minutes later, and he writes down all the information, but then this is weird. This is where it gets weird. He says that since it's on private property, he can only make a non-reportable report or some weird thing, so then he pretty much just wrote down our information and wasn't able to make a police report about it. But the weird thing is I requested on the Post Falls Parks and Recreation website to get the footage, and then they ended up giving me the footage, which is a government entity. So it doesn't make any sense how this is not public land and how the parking lot's private if it's owned or if it's conducted under the Post Falls Parks and Recreation. But that's not important. So while I was waiting for the police, we started talking because I kind of just didn't want him to leave, because I'm going to show the pictures right now. His cars pretty much did not look damaged at all, and then mine was of course the one that was destroyed. And unfortunately for him, the police officer basically made us exchange our information through this form that had a carbon copy and all that. So the police officer asked me if I was going to go home and just drive home, and I said yes. I drove about 8 miles back home on the back road instead of taking the freeway, because the freeway, I was worried, since the bumper was only held on basically by the fog light wiring. He said, as I'm gonna drive home, okay? I decided that, and the police officer was fine with it. He let me go, obviously. And I was missing my front license plate, so it basically looked very suspicious. Was when I was driving around, I was getting looked at by everyone. Every single intersection, people were looking at me, and I think they would think just by looking at me that I was involved in a hit and run and I was the hit and runner. And it also had red paint, as you could tell from the picture, so it looked very sus. I'm just gonna say that. Then when I got home, I walked in and I basically told my dad, hey, I think the car's totaled. And he's basically like, what? What are you talking about? And so I take him outside. I'm parked right in front of the garage, which is right in front of our house. And he goes, holy shiz, this is wild. And originally he was super confused because he was like, okay, the car's totaled. Where is it? And I said, oh, I decided to drive it home. That took him by surprise, because if you look at the pictures, it's very surprising, but it actually ran normally, which is the weird thing. And there wasn't any fluid leaking, even though the radiator had gotten pushed in and pretty much the whole grill and whatever hooks to everything up there, whatever the piece is called, was destroyed. After that, we went inside after I parked my car in my parking spot, and then we decided to call my insurance company to make a claim against it. Once we called the insurance company, they informed us that the guy had made a claim that I rear-ended him. Now, this took us by surprise that he decided to do this, because according to the police officer, what the police officer said and what the guy said at the scene was that he backed into me and wasn't looking. So not only did he say on body camera footage he backed into me, he lied, and the first thing he does is pretty much commit insurance fraud. Now, this is when you basically lie to an insurance company in hopes of getting money. The weird thing about it is, since he was gonna lie, that he didn't lie to the police officer, which shows on body camera footage, and after I got the footage showing that I was stopped and he backed into me, that he was a complete liar. And our insurance company decided to believe us, of course, because the police officer said that that's what he said, is that he backed into me. So then the next day, the tow company comes. This is the 26th, by the way, of March. First off, the insurance company said they were contacting a tow company. Then the next day we called them and find out that they didn't end up contacting them, which is weird. But anyway, the tow company came about in the middle of the day, and he was shocked at the look of my car. He was shocked that I was okay. He was shocked that the airbags didn't go off. That's one of the first thing I noticed when I got into the accident, was that the airbags didn't go off. And I was super surprised because it was very brute of an impact. I mean, it pushed my car back and it like dented the whole engine bay in. I'm very surprised, actually. But it makes me feel better about Subaru excellent safety records in the Forester, that my car looked like this and I walked away completely fine. Another thing that the tow guy was surprised at was that the car started up just fine the next day and he drove it up onto the flatbed. And that was a couple weeks ago now. So the tow company towed it to the collision center on the 26th, and that is where it sat. It was supposed to be looked at that Wednesday, with the 27th, but when it ended up getting looked at was Tuesday, April 9th. So it took over 2 weeks to get looked at, and they still haven't come up with an estimate yet, or if they're going to total the car or anything like that. So we have yet to hear on that. I've had a car for 2 weeks now, over 2 weeks, and so this is going to be a part 2. I'm going to let you guys know what happened, but that's just why I didn't vlog on spring break. I was really bummed out about that, and I just kept going to the gym to try to take my thoughts off of it, because I promised people like Riley, shout out Riley, that I was going to vlog over spring break, and I didn't end up, because that pretty much went all the way into the beginning of my spring break and kind of ruined the whole vibe and what I was able to do. So since I was pretty much at home, there wasn't a lot to vlog about because there wasn't a lot happening, and it's just a whole thing. So hopefully my car gets fixed. Now, this is all in my opinion, but I consider him a huge liar. I mean, he lied to my insurance company. First off, he told the truth to the police officer, but to me, it looked completely intentional. I know that he had a story that he was going to go to the porta potty, and he has people in his car, and he can make it look all sorts of believable, but from my perspective, and the fact that he already lied to the insurance company, which is already a huge, massive crime of insurance fraud, said, I think that he was looking for a payout, and he saw an easy way to do that was to ram himself into the front of me and then claim that I rear-ended him. Because in almost all rear-ending cases, the person who rear-ended you is typically liable. But that's where I've been. That's what's been happening. It's just been a huge deal. I love that car. I graduated high school in it during COVID with a drive-through graduation, and I was hoping to graduate with that car this year. Probably not going to get it back even if they're fixing it, because it's going to take a whole thing. So they haven't determined the value yet or if they're going to total it, but I'll let you guys know, and I'll see you all later. Peace.